last night, and they never looked back. Max Scherzer racked up 9 more strikeouts in 8 innings and cruised to his first win in 3 starts. Today, Jordan Zimmermann looks to extend the Nats' win streak to 4 and leave the Phillies searching for answers.
It's a perfect day at Nationals Park. Game 3 of this 4-game series. Dog days of August a while away, but the Pups in the park for the first time this year, and why not? The Nats are having fun. They're playing well. Phillies have lost 6 in a row. The Nats have won their last 3, and last night another indication of how the offense has turned a big-time corner now. FP 29 runs in the last 4 games. These guys are cooking with those bats.
Well, we told the fans in Boston to relax. We also said maybe some of the players could relax a little bit, and they're starting to get in their groove. They're settling into the season, and you could tell by even the way Bryce Harper carried himself around the bases, the body language, very calm, very relaxed, a little handshake at the plate. Ryan Zimmerman's parts are starting to all tune up, and he's got his timing, and his swing looks good. He's covering the outside pitch. The defense is starting to play a little bit better, not as good as they want to yet, but they're starting to get it. So pitching's been good, defense is good, and how about Rivero last night in his major league debut with that big fastball? So it seems like with a couple wins, the offense coming alive, everybody has relaxed.
It's a great feeling to be relaxed. And we're only 12 games into the season, but things are turning around. A chance to get back to the 500 mark today.
Yeah, and a chance to win a series. I mean, when you're talking about playing the Phillies right now, the Phillies aren't the Phillies of old. I mean, this is a ball club that, you know, interesting to see how Jordan Zimmermann goes about it today facing this lineup.
Not sure I'd want to be a Phillies hitter today. Jordan can't be real happy after 2 1/3 at Boston on 70 pitches his last time out. He's 1-1 with a very un-Zimmermann-like 8.64 ERA. You get the feeling with the guys hitting the ball, his game is about to change as well.
The Nats trying to make it 3 in a row in this series against the Phils.
And earlier today, FP, some interesting things going on at third base.
Yeah, Escobar with the strained groin, and look who's playing third. And he actually has Ryan Zimmerman's old third base glove on, Tyler Moore. So in case of emergency, Matt Williams having Tebow take some grounders at third. Danny Espinosa getting some work in there as well. And if anybody can teach you how to play third, it's a guy named Matt Williams, right?
He was a brilliant third baseman in his big league career. So it's Danny over there today. Phillies lineup last in the league hitting at .213. Only the Brewers have scored fewer than the Phillies, 26 runs. Odubel Herrera on base 3 times in this series. FP and I continue to wonder why Ben Revere is not in the lineup. I mean, he's been a thorn in the Nats' side for the last year or so, but he's on the bench, pretty much the same lineup except for the catcher that they had last night. Here's Jordan Zimmerman, 13 starts against the Phils. He's 6-6 with a 3.48 ERA.
Well, he's coming off a rough one. Last start in Boston, he allowed 8 runs, 7 of those earned. The 7 earned runs were the most he's given up since 8 against the Cubs in 2013. Gave up 9 hits in just 2 1/3 innings through 70 pitches. So you see the numbers. They're not Jordan Zimmerman-like, and he's looking to right the ship here today.
And by the way, if you were wondering, 4 Gold Gloves for Matt Williams at his position in his big league career. Odubel Herrera, Jordan Zimmerman. Espinosa's on the grass at third. First pitch ground ball at 106. Enio Desmond throws him out. It is beautiful today. 77 degrees, barely a breeze. Flag's not doing much of anything right now. Oh, by the way, also on the injury front, it was pretty cool spotting Denard Span in the ballpark today. Running some sprints, doing some stretching out right field. Here's Freddie Galvis. And by the way, a fan let me know about 2 good things to do in Hagerstown after our conversation last night.
I caught a little flack on Twitter for saying, what do you do on an off day in Hagerstown?
Well, first of all, if there's a baseball game, you get to go watch a single-A baseball. But the highlight evidently is Crumpy's Donuts. Best donuts ever, I was told, by a fan who knows Hagerstown. Ian Desmond. And that's good scouting by the Nats, playing Freddie Galvis right up the middle, and Denard Span on the field today.
Yeah, he went 3 for and then 1 for, I think. But more importantly, look at Denard run. I mean, he looks healthy. By all accounts, he is healthy. And Matt Williams said that he could be activated as soon as tomorrow. And we miss him, and we hope that's the case. Go for a little hashtag Spanning.
Here's Chase Utley. Utley's hitting into a lot of bad luck this season. Among guys who put the ball in play, he has one of the lowest batting averages. He's hit 3 or 4 line drives in this series, but without a hit.
Maybe more, Card. 4 or 5. He squared up the ball almost every single time up.
7th year for Brian Knight. He's behind the plate. Vic Carapazza. Crew chief Larry Vanover. There he is at second, and Ron Kulpa over third base. .93 on the heater. Jordan looking a little quicker today than he did in Boston.
Well, the velocity wasn't there. The fastball this year is averaging just 91 miles an hour, and anybody that's seen Jordan Zimmerman throw over the years know it's 94, 95, got that late life. So maybe a dead arm period coming out of spring training, but the fastball looks good so far.
Chase Utley, a fly ball, left center. Michael A. Taylor. And he's got Clint Robinson playing next to him today. Jordan Zimmerman. Bang, bang, bang. That's it for the top of the first. Brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. And by Ocean City, Maryland. Put your vacation days to good use in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at OCOcean.com. Nothing doing for the Phillies. Top of the first. Here come the Nats. Against Aaron Harang, who has a 2.18 ERA against them since 09. Ian Desmond is hot. Michael Taylor back in the leadoff spot with Escobar hurt. Dan Uggla's in there. Danny Espinosa at third. First pitch by Harang. Outside to Michael A., who's 2 for 6 with a homer and a walk in the series.
Yeah, four-seam fastball. He'll cut the fastball right around 88, 89.
And Taylor reaches out, and that young man's batting over 280 now with a leadoff hit.
Well, there's been no question about Michael Taylor and his offense early on this season. And I guess the question is, what are you going to do with him when Denard Span comes back? But he starts this one up with a base hit to left field, and there goes a no-hitter. Michael Taylor style here, and give him 3.
He's 2 for 3 stealing bases. Ian Desmond 3 for 19 career against Harang, but 8 for 16 his last 4 games.
It's a big lead he's got at first. Wow.
And a big-time lead. He started, stopped. Desmond pulled the bat back. That had Cody Ashe on the move at third base. Aaron Harang has started against the Nats for 6 different teams in the last 7 years.
When I talk to Phillies people, he's throwing the cutter a lot more than he has in the past. He's got a couple different kinds of curveballs. One he'll bloop up there real slow, try to bounce it and make you chase. And then he's got a little snappy curveball that he throws a little bit harder. But he's a short arm guy, and he's been in the league for a long time. His fastball is sneaky. You see a lot of guys foul it off in hitting counts.
Desmond bunting for a hit. It's looking good. The throw, safe at first. So the Nats playing some small ball here with their number 2 hitter with the big guns coming up.
Cameron Rupp made a nice play. I thought this was a base hit all the way. He got out of the squat quick, barehanded it, spun through right on the money. But a good idea by Ian Desmond right here. You don't see him bunt for a hit very often. And it's something that if he did a couple of times a month would take his, 260, 270 to 300 throughout the course of a season. That was a nice bunt.
He's 4 for 9 in this series now. On base 5 times. Stage set for Bryce Harper, who hasn't had a career RBI against Harang, but against the right-hander, he's 7 for 17. Bryce suddenly tied for 4th in the league in home runs with his 3. And the Nats are going up ripping.
Well, he hit a 3-run bomb in the first yesterday, so can he do it 2 days in a row against this defense? Ruff, Herrera, Francoeur the outfield, Gavos, Ashe left side, Utley Howard right side, and Cameron Rupp behind the plate.
Harper in this series, 1 for 3. The Phillies have walked him 4 times in this series. He's also in the top 3 in the league in bases on balls. Got jammed on that one. Howard to short, and that's the only play. Productive out. Gets Taylor to third base with 1 down.
Bryce getting down the line, trying to keep the inning going, but Ian Desmond just kind of ran past Freddie Galvis. He didn't even slide. Desmond kind of known for breaking up double plays hard. He just ran right past the Philly shortstop.
And a big spot for Ryan Zimmerman, who's had 3 extra base hits his last 3 games. His 2 hits in this series have produced 4 runs.
And they've all been to right. Let's see if the Phillies try him somewhere else today, maybe inside.
He has a career homer against Harang, 2 RBIs. Busted bat. so slowly hit they can only get one out, and the Nats take the lead. Well, sometimes you get sawed off and you get your 9th RBI of the season.
Well, he gets some high fives when he gets back to the dugout, putting his team up 1-0. Old saying is that's how you drive in 100 right there. Picking them all up all the time, doesn't matter how it looks. Bat kind of died a hero, right? Putting his ball club up 1-0, right off the pine tar. Watch his hands just stop.
Another runner to scoring position. And here's Clint Robinson, who's off to a good start as a part-time Nat. 6 for 19 with 2 RBIs.
I think he just said that felt good.
That would be the dry wit of Zimmerman at its best.
It would.
He might be the funniest guy on the team and doesn't even try to.
Right.
Well, Clint's off to a good start. That's big for any part-time player. Get some knocks early. Started his swing and stopped. Well, maybe he didn't. Late call by the ump, and it's 1-1. They got him bunched toward the gap in right center. Facing Aaron Harang for the first time. Nats are up to 5th in the league in runs, 2nd in home runs. Michael A. Taylor setting the pace for rookies with hits and extra base hits. The Nats, well, they hit 2 home runs. They're almost unbeatable. And there's that ERA by Harang against the Nats going back a ways, but they've got one today early. Robinson, third base side, well placed. It requires a throw, and Cody Ashe plays that very well on the run. 2 hits, including a bunt by Desmond, and the Zimmerman RBI grounder. Nats on top.
Guys referenced in the top of the first how his last time out, Jordan Zimmerman's fastball was sitting at 91-92, a few miles an hour down from what he normally is at. Well, Jordan said after that game that it wasn't anything mechanically wrong with him. There's nothing physically wrong. It was just a very dry day in Boston. He had trouble controlling the ball, and he had a tough time getting a grip on it. We've seen today that fastball in the first inning, guys, back around that 94-mile-an-hour range that we're used to seeing from Jordan. It's a warmer day today, a little easier for him to get a grip, apparently, and that velocity has crept back up to its normal area.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, we did note the humidity was in the 20% range for 2 days in Boston. That was Dan Kolko with our Coons.com sideline report. When you're talking cars, you're talking Coons.
Yeah, don't forget, those 9 hits and 7 earned runs, a couple of those were fly balls that should have been caught that nobody touched.
Correct.
And they were scored hits. So while his command wasn't there and he didn't have a grip, it could have been a lot better. And should have been a lot better.
Jeff Francoeur serving as the Phillies cleanup man these days, with Ryan Howard kind of wallowing down in that number 7 spot. And offering it that one, Frank Gore pulling away 3-1. Cody Ashe and Darren Ruff to follow here in the top of the second. Jordan misses well inside with the fastball. Phillies have their first base runner.
So the defense for the Nats behind Jordan Zimmerman today. Robinson, Taylor, Harper, your outfield. Desmond Espinosa, left side of the infield. Ugla, Zimmerman, right side. And Jose Lobaton behind the plate.
Playing in his 3rd game. He's only had 5 at bats so far. Wilson Ramos is going great with the bat. Here's Cody Ashe. And the breaking ball spun by Zimmerman. This is low and in. Cody Ashe is still 7th in the league, batting .375. Even though the Nats have had him 0 for 8 in this series. He's 4 for 9 career against Jordan Zimmerman. 93 right in there.
Auburndale, Wisconsin, 738 people in Jordan Zimmerman's hometown. And my favorite part of all that is Bring Your Tractor to School Days, an annual event on the calendar.
Love it.
The challenge fastball up in the zone. And that's that late life, that giddy up at the end that I always talk about in a Zimmerman start. Didn't have it in Boston. He has it here today so far.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And a ball driven to center. Michael Taylor is going to have a ways to go back for it. Halfway onto the track. And where he caught that ball, it's almost 400 feet away.
So Danny Espinosa new to third base. We showed you the video earlier of him coming out early and taking grounders at third. And watch this. This is between Danny Espinosa and Matt Williams. And what he's telling him is with 2 strikes, he wants him to come in. And watch this last thing he does. He's talking about the squibber off the end of Odubel Herrera's bat with 2 strikes. So he's new over there. And Matt Williams, former third baseman, is really teaching him up, coaching him in the middle of this game on where to play. You know, as a third baseman, Carp, you play back with 2 strikes because there's no longer the threat of a bunt. But with a guy who could hit one off the end of that bat, Matt brought him in. So that's good stuff, guys. Good catch.
I think managers do more teaching at the major league level now than they ever have.
It's because guys rush through the minor leagues quicker than ever.
Pitch outside to the left fielder, Darren Ruff, who's showing some signs of life. 3 for 24 on the year, 2 for 7 with an RBI in this series. He hits one to left, backing up Clint Robinson a bit. We got to remember Clint's still very new to left field. Runner tagging, and he'll make it easily. Frank Gore to second on the second out. So with more on that third base thing, here's Dan.
Guys, Matt Williams said today that Danny Espinosa, because of his strong arm, likes playing a little deep at third base. It's a new position for him, his first career start there. And he was playing a little too deep yesterday. There was a swinging bunt that Espinosa had to come in on. Tough play, but the Nationals made the adjustment. And when Espinosa was out getting early work today, they moved him in a little bit more shallow. So that's something that we'll look for today and going forward as Espinosa plays at third.
Yeah, that was that swinging bunt by Carlos Ruiz in the 9th inning last night.
Matt looks like he's ready to play third right now. he's in his position. He's in his good athletic position on the bench, ready for a grounder. He's playing vicariously through Danny Espinosa.
I like it. Ryan Howard, 3 for 20 against Jordan Zimmerman. Has an RBI in this series. A couple of hits and a walk. And if the Phillies want to bat Ryan Howard 7th and leave Ben Revere out of the lineup, that's okay with all of us going through this weekend. Ryan Sandberg looking for something to spark some offense. 2-1. He and Desmond playing right behind the runner. In what our buddy Ray Knight calls a rank pull position, with Dan Uggla actually out on the outfield grass. Modified shift because of the runner on second base. Howard will bring that bat back as soon as Jordan goes into his stretch, and they both got tired of waiting.
So this stat that I said last night was before the series, but 65% of all the pitches that Ryan Howard has seen this year have been fastballs. He's having trouble catching up.
What does he get on 2-1? 87. High in the air, down in the corner. Good crowd gathering.
Excuse me, Carl. That was a slider right there, and he did catch up.
Two balls, two strikes. There's Howard late for the 92.
We talked about Ben Revere being out early. I mean, the guy had 184 hits last year and stole 49 bases. He's had a bad first week of the season. He hasn't seen the field in the series. That's a head scratcher. Yeah. And it's still hard to see Ryan Howard hitting seventh. I don't care what he's doing.
So there's Nissan tracking the entire at bat here. And a 2-2 is a fastball upstairs that strikes out Ryan Howard. Jordan Zimmermann, first K of the day. He's retired 6 of the first 7 Phillies and has an early lead.
The fighting necklace on, sweatband, red glove. He'll be at Kids Opening Day. Join us at Nats Park on Sunday as we celebrate Screech's birthday and Kids Opening Day. That's presented by Junior Nationals Kids Club. Activities include face painting, balloon artist. Uncle Bob will be doing that. Mascot games. Kids riding the bases and more. So stick your kid in an Uber and just send him to the game. You can Uber home after. Parents not needed.
I'm telling you, I'm getting ready with those water balloons. That ball's well hit by Dan Uggla, run down by Odubel Herrera in the gap, and Uggla hit that ball about 380. He's another guy who has not been very lucky in the early going.
There's some Papa John's in the house last night. When the Nats win and score 7 or more runs, get 50% off regular menu prices, online orders. Use promo code NATS50 when ordering. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, official pizza of your Washington Nationals. Nats fans have been getting fat lately. All kinds of runs.
Yeah. A lot of crust, a lot of sauce, a lot of ingredients.
Nats have scored 33 runs in their last 5 games.
Danny Espinosa takes strike one. In the series, 1 for 5 with a homer, 2 walks. He's hit safely 4 of his last 5 games.
Four for 9 left-handed this year with 2 home runs, a double, 3 RBIs.
Well hit center. Herrera right there. And the Nats are getting some big-time hacks early against Aaron Harang. Jose Lobaton will try to get it down to Jordan Zimmerman now with 2 outs in the second. Jose, as I mentioned, only 5 ABs. But he has walked a couple of times. He has a career RBI against Aaron Harang, 0 for 5 overall. Harang's a strike thrower. 12 pitches, 10 strikes first inning. He's 17 over 13 right now. "37 years of age he will be on May 9th. Since leaving the Reds, stops in San Diego, LA with the Dodgers, Seattle, the Mets, Braves last year. He made 33 starts in Atlanta, won 12 games with a 3.5 ERA. Took a little bit off and missed, 3-1. Lobaton first at bat in this series, and down he goes. Aaron Harang first strikeout. Jordan Zimmerman and the right-hander of the Phillies matching up 1-0.
Who is a potential option to come up to the Nationals, along with maybe Manny Burris, with Yunel Escobar straining his groin in last night's game. Escobar reported to the Nationals today that he's feeling better. He's going to undergo an MRI at some point today to check the extent of the damage. For today, at least, the Nationals are playing a little shorthanded on the infield, and Tyler Moore was actually out earlier today taking ground balls at third base, guys. He hasn't played third since his JUCO days, but with Escobar out, the Nationals are preparing a couple contingency plans. I asked Matt Williams for what it's worth if Ryan Zimmerman could potentially slide over and play third. He said no. Seems like Tyler Moore is the emergency option there if the Nationals need to go to it eventually.
Thank you, Dan Coco. Top of the third, it'll be Cameron Rupp for the Phils. Yeah, I think Tyler Moore is more liable to play third base before Ryan Zimmerman is. Yeah, even though Tyler Moore's kind of a long-time first baseman / outfield guy.
We talked about it last night, how comfortable Ryan is over at first base. He's learning that position, then you take him back over to third, and the stress level rises, and he hasn't taken grounders there.
Well, and you want to have some stability on your infield. You know who's going to be at shortstop every day. It's great to know who's at first base every day, too. He has been fantastic.
He's been great.
Cameron Rupp 2 for 11 to start the season, playing in his 4th game. Jordan Zimmerman with a well-located fastball. 2nd strikeout in a row.
You remember the last start, talking about the grip with Jordan Zimmerman. He hit back-to-back hitters. And look at the control here today early, 94 miles an hour on the black. So he's got the good fastball, he's got the good command, he's got the good tempo going.
Aaron Harang goes up. Swinging. And Ian Desmond, wow, finds time to recover only because it was a pitcher running. Ian's just having a hard time right now, even making some routine plays.
Well, you could tell the way he fielded that one, too. It was a Sunday hop. I mean, he is really deep in his own head right now, folks. There's no other way to put it. I mean, he did this last night on the exchange. The best thing he did was stay with it, but even the most routine ground balls are becoming adventures right now for Ian Desmond. Good pick by Ryan Zimmerman, and I think they're going to review that. He looks safe to me, Carp, on the replay.
Well, if he is, that's another error.
I mean, just the simple things like exchanges. You don't want to use the word yips, but it seems like he has the yips. And he's safe, very safe.
That runner's safe.
Not even close. That's going to get overturned, folks.
And that's going to be Ian Desmond's 8th error of the year.
And it's all you could do if you're a teammate is pick him up. And if you're Ian Desmond, you can't hang your head, because guess what? A ground ball is going to find you today again. And it's going to be in a big situation.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of replays. I don't think this is going to take too long. Runner is safe. E6. Ian Desmond has 8 of the Nationals' 14 errors. Most by any player and most by any team in the major leagues.
And the thing about it, too, is as hard as it is for Ian in April, you know, the rest of the season he makes the same total of errors combined in May, June, July, August, and September.
Well, this is going to hurt. That ball skips by Clint Robinson out in left field. And again, only because a pitcher is running do the Phillies not score. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. So Odubel Herrera has seen 2 pitches today.
Odubel finally hit a double. He had a triple and a single last night. Rule 5 draft picks looking nice for the Phillies at the top of their order.
Yeah, they're going to want to keep him on the roster all year. Next up is Freddie Galvis, and he's been good for them. Came in hitting .306. Lined out to Desmond first time up. That's up the middle. First runner scores. Second had to hold up. Herrera had to make sure that ball went through. And again, the error hurting the pitching. Now it's Jordan Zimmerman's turn to get out of this inning, but he's got Utley coming up. 1st and 3rd, 1 out.
It looked like a first pitch curveball from Jordan Zimmerman, and Freddie Galvis all over it. You know, it's not just the obvious, the runs that are scoring, or Jordan Zimmerman giving up some runs. It's the pitches he's throwing extra because of the error. It's the type of pitches he has to throw now, redlining to get out of a jam. You know, these are the things where errors kind of under the radar hurt a pitcher. Now he's got to go.
Jordan Zimmerman had a 21-inning scoreless streak in this ballpark against the Phillies going back to September of 2013. That has gone away. Now he's got to fight to keep this a tie game. Double play ball. Ugla to Desmond, and he drops it. He just cannot get the ball from his glove to his hand. The runner at second is out. On the exchange, it came out. You can't assume the double play, so they won't give him an error for that.
Well, that was a double play. Tailor-made. Jordan Zimmerman did his job. Dan Ugla with a perfect feed to Desmond, and I don't even know what to say at this point, Carp. I mean, there's nothing an analyst can do to break this down other than, it's all mental. Yeah. This is sports psychologist stuff at this point. This has nothing to do with ability. And now Ryne Sandberg thought about challenging the play at second, but his clubhouse let him know that the runner was out. But the odd thing is, Ian Desmond does not get an error because of the old baseball adage that you cannot assume the double play. So it simply goes as an RBI fielder's choice. I mean, this is just giving runs away, FP. This is the third inning. He's got a long way to go in this one. Here's Frank Core. Back to Zimmerman. Jordan kind of snaps the ball into his glove, showing a little frustration. Why not? Phillies have taken the lead in odd fashion. Phillies as this one heads to the bottom of the third inning. Beautiful day here at Nats Park. If you're in the area, grab a ticket and come hang out and left. If you're in the area, April 21st through 23rd, Nats are playing the Cardinals. So Jason Wirth's got his bat in his hand. He's back in the lineup. They got their big toe back. I think it's Gio Gonzalez, Doug Fister, and Max Scherzer taking on the Cardinals 21st through 23rd. So get out to the yard. Where else would you rather be? Yeah, the Nats will be seeing Lance Lynn, John Lackey, Michael Wacha. Some kind of pitching in that three-game series commencing on Tuesday. Wirth getting a day off today. Here's Jordan Zimmerman 0 for 2 with the bat this year. 170 career hitter. And Harang's behind him 2-1. For Aaron Harang, 22 pitches, 17 strikes, first 2 innings. And Jordan Zimmerman hits one a mile high down toward the left field corner and out of play. .3 miles on Main Street in Auburndale from one end to the other. Jordan Zimmerman's hometown. Kizzy and Sue's, the local bar, probably packed today watching Jordan pitch. And Jordan will fly this one to right for Jeff Francoeur. So what, the two biggest
maybe the three biggest attractions in Wisconsin on TV. The Packers playing, the Badgers make the Final Four, and Jordan Zimmermann pitches.
Yep.
Jeep inside the numbers with the Nats right behind the Dodgers, having hit a couple more last night.
See you later.
Well said. Here's Michael A. Taylor, lined one hard to left. Scored a run first inning, leading things off. So Harang gives him a big sweeping breaking ball. He's retired 6 straight, actually 7 straight now, counting the fielder's choice grounder by Bryce Harper, and then the Zimmermann RBI grounder. Taylor watches 81 for a strike. Here's the 0-2. Taylor down on strikes, worked over by the veteran pitcher. So here comes Ian Desmond. And FP, have you ever seen anything like what Ian Desmond is going through?
Well, I've seen him do it in April before, and maybe this year to a little bigger extent on a grander stage because of the injuries and him expected to kind of pick up some of the slack. But when you make an error, it's what you do after that counts. And I think your brain gets going so fast out there, Carp. It just starts spinning out of control, and you're thinking all kinds of thoughts about how you're letting teammates down, how, you know, this is embarrassing. I'm on TV in front of 40,000 people, and it just gets worse. And the good athletes are able to, like, maybe take their hat off and forget about it and let those thoughts go out of their head. I always used to have a spot in the ballpark, a focal point that I would pick to start over, like a reset button, whether it be a cherry tree and left, the flag, the foul pole, something. When things were going bad, it was my personal reset button to kind of start the whole deal over again.
Well, there's nothing wrong with his offense. He's 10 for his last 18. Ian Desmond continues to hit beautifully.
It's just like anything else. The more you think about it, the worse it's going to get. And they're simple plays. But like Felipe Alou always used to state, Carp, the only easy play is the one that's already been made. There's no such thing as an easy play in baseball. And I think Ian Desmond's showing you that right now. He'll be fine. And nobody feels worse than he does at this point.
The only thing I can think of that I've seen in the 2 plays today is that Ian kind of opens his glove and drops the ball into his bare hand. Might be time to just go in there and reach and grab it. Every guy's got his own way of doing it.
It's nothing physical. It has nothing to do with technique or anything at this point. It's all mental.
I'm just telling you what I saw. You know, almost identical twice, but it's got. You're right. It's got to be a mental thing.
And you're right. You know, he didn't have 2 hands on it, but it goes way deeper than that. I mean, some way, somehow, you have to dig down deep and find a way to reset.
Desmond, pretty good lead. And Bryce Harper skies one that will get out of play. Bryce today, first time up, pulled one to Ryan Howard with 2 men aboard. Turned into a corner situation that enabled Ryan Zimmermann to drive in the run with a ground ball later.
And to your point, too, Carver, the one positive is he's not taking it to the plate. You know, I said last night there's 2 sides of the game, lumber and leather. He's not letting his defense affect his offense. So, you know, that's a plus.
Yeah, Ian's now hitting .295. One and 2. He's running. Harper drills it right center. In to get it, Jeff Francoeur. He'll return it in a hurry to Chase Utley, and the Nats have a potential 2-out rally here. Bryce Harper's second hit of this series, but the 6th time he's been on base.
But he's done such a nice job of recognizing the soft this year, and it goes to his balance and how he's keeping his head still throughout the swing. There's no more jumping at the baseball. His head's frozen, and he's recognizing the off-speed better, letting it get deep, and he's been punishing it. Another good swing by Bryce Harper.
Yeah, and his batting average is on the rise.
Home run last night was on a O'Sullivan curveball. That one the same pitch.
Bryce now hitting .262. 2-out chance for Ryan Zimmerman here. .91 up in the zone, strike one. Ryan 6 for 18 career against Harang with 3 RBIs. Strike call. Ryan Howard was not on the bag to receive that throw from Rupp. That is a large power zone. And Zimmerman down and away. They got him, and that's the last out of the inning. Nats get a couple of 2-out hits. They've stranded 3 so far, but the offense showing signs of life against Aaron Harang. Corp International. It's our international troop recognition brought to you by DynCorp. We serve today for a better tomorrow. Yeah, Jordan Zimmerman concentrating on trying to win a ball game today, giving them his due. Danny Espinosa and 30,000 of their friends. Top 4, Ashy Ruff Howard for the Phils. Zimmerman dropped 77 on the curveball right in there. Ashy fly ball to center first time. And a ball drilled out to right center. Taylor able to cut it off. Ashe digging for two. And the Phillies now start to hit the ball well against Jordan Zimmerman. All three of their hits now in just over the last inning. In fact, they've come among the last 5 batters.
Now, Cody Ashe's been swinging the bat well for the Phillies all season. Probably their most consistent hitter. And you saw the sequence. Zimmerman started him up with off speed, then went to the fastball late. Ashe was all over it.
Here's Darren Ruff, fly ball to left his first time. And that was a go the other way swing on the foul ball.
In this series and even in Philadelphia, the Phillies had many opportunities with the runner on second, nobody out, and it failed to move them.
How to play right side. By the way, if you're scoring the game, I know some of you are, those runs in the third inning unearned. I thought they might rule the second run, or one of those runs earned, because Herrera would have had a 2-out double and then Galvis the single. But they consider that an unearned run as well. So more unearned runs given up by the Nats. And the 0-2 blocked. Lobaton to third, and the runner is out. Did he come off the bag? It certainly appeared he beat the throw. And no argument from Cody Ashe. Although Ryan Sandberg's coming up to the top step.
Well, how about Jose Lobaton pouncing on this baseball? Watch how quick he gets over there. Kind of a blind throw, too. Just spins and lets it rip. Right on the bag. Espinoza keeps the tag on. You see Ashe's foot coming off. Watch his foot, folks. I think he initially beats it. There's no tag, but Espinoza blocks the base with his knee.
How about that?
Takes a cleat for the ball club right there. Nice play by Lobaton. Nice play by Danny Espinoza.
I'll tell you, that's tough sticking your knee down there with the guy coming in feet first. Now it's 2-2 on Ruff. That'll change his hitting approach. Doesn't have to go to the right side, but he's got a battle now. He does get the count full. That's the first runner thrown out by a Nats catcher this year. And a ball popped into center. Taylor, 2 down.
And celebrate the season with American Standard All-Star Sales Event. Visit MidAtlanticComfort.com for amazing rebate and financing opportunities. Who's hot? Bartolo Colon. I guess the old knight is 3-0 with a 2.25 ERA. And Chris Bryant, Major League debut yesterday, 0 for 4. He was swinging at everything right out of James Shields' hand. He was amped up. It'll just turn into baseball for him in a minute. He'll be fine.
Upstairs to Ryan Howard, who struck out first time. Out into right. Planting and firing. That's Danny Espinoza out there. Blocking a runner at third, throwing a guy out from right field in the same inning.
Doing it all.
thus the really thick crowds over there by the tidal basin all around the Washington area. Beautiful day for baseball. You know, this Ian Desmond thing, it's hard to get away from it just because of the number of errors the Nats have given up. Can this be a long-term thing for a guy, or it's something that could just go away like that?
It depends on the man. It depends on the person. It depends how deep you can deep because it's really starting to be on easy plays, Carp. It's like kind of the yips.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that's the scary part about all of it. They're very simple plays.
Clint Robinson rounded first, and he gets back in because Ryan Howard dropped the ball. Frank Gore threw in behind him. They should have had him after Clint got one to go through the infield. Boy, all kinds of crazy things going on here. They had him picked off.
Mouse sliding over from the on camera. Let's watch it together. Yeah, couldn't hang on to it and gets back in there. But another base knock for Clint Robinson. He has been nice so far.
As a Nat, 7 for 21. Here's Dan Uggla. He hit a ball deep to left center first time up. He's one of those Washington hitters you feel is for a breakthrough here in terms of just getting something to drop or maybe go over a fence somewhere. On the corner, 1-1.
It must be something about standing at second base here at Nats Park, because Chase Utley's got the same thing going on as Dan Uggla. They're both hitting the ball right on the screws with nothing to show.
Dan Uggla, good career success against Harang with 9 hits, 2 homers, 7 batted in. And this one to third. To his left, Ashe. Chase Utley turns it, but Uggla beats it. Nats have only hit into 3 double plays so far this year. I don't know if any of these guys could beat that one out. Geico race, they're tightly bunched. Where's William Howard Taft?
Well, they're going slow. They must have had a long Friday night.
What's up with the mice?
I don't know.
Those are adult human beings, ladies and gentlemen.
I think those are armadillos.
Are they from Ohio?
And Taft by a boiler at the end.
Wow. Talking smack with the body at the end there. William Howard Taft. Danny Espinosa next. And Danny lined out to center first time up. Harang falls behind 2-0. He's been efficient. First 3 innings, 42 pitches, 31 strikes.
We talked about a lot last night. In case you missed it, Espinosa's lower half is so quiet, left-handed. You remember he used to have that big leg kick and kind of be jumping all over the place? His feet are slow, his head is still, and he's making good decisions at the plate. He's seeing the ball big. Watch how relaxed his lower half is here in his approach. See that? Just a quiet stride, head still. Here's a home run last night, same way. Watch. Lower half, foot down soft. Catcher out front, biggest part of the ballpark. Best part about that is that guy didn't go over the railing right there trying to catch that.
Yeah. Three 0 pitches in there. Good at bat by Danny Espinosa, who walks for the 4th time this year and the 3rd time in this series. 2 on, 1 out, and Dan Coco has more on the other Dan.
Bob, just playing off what FP just said, Matt Williams has been very impressed with Espinosa's left-handed approach. He says it's just very smooth right now. He's recognizing pitches well. It's quiet, as FP said. The swing itself is compact. Matt says it's a special talent when it's right, and Espinosa has struggled from the left side in past years. He's been locked in early on, and guys, this is especially impressive, given that he didn't get a single left-handed at-bat in Grapefruit League games. He tried to transition all right-handed. He's doing this from the left side without getting any real game reps at all from the left side in spring.
Yeah, 4 for 10 during the regular season, plus the walks.
Well, as a former switch hitter, you get away from one side of the plate and you stop thinking about it. You stop thinking about all your mechanics on that side. You go through stretches during the season where you hit on one side more than the other, and maybe the fact that he didn't hit left-handed in spring training was a good thing.
Well, and there's a whole team thing here, FP, as well. Adam LaRoche no longer here. Denard Span's been hurt. The Nats are a pretty right-handed lineup, so if Danny Espinosa can give them something from that side of the plate to complement Clint Robinson when he's in there, and of course Bryce Harper, who's in there every day, that gives the lineup a little more balance against certain kinds of pitching. That's going to get through. Here comes Ugla. The Nats have tied it, and over to third base, Espinosa. Jose Lobaton delivers his first base hit of the year. Bottom of the order coming through.
Yeah, check it in. First knock of the year, like you said, a big one. Right back where it came from. Chopper up the middle, good swing. Danny Espinosa with a nice read going first to third right here as well. So that scores Dan Ugla, and this game's tied.
One out in the inning. Usually a bunting situation for a pitcher to try to move a runner at first. And, hey, if you get lucky, score one from third.
So Danny Espinosa at third is going to be something to keep an eye on right here. He can creep down as far as Cody Ashley comes in.
And I was wondering, Pete, do you try to bunt the ball a little harder here to get it away from home plate?
I mean, my favorite play here is bunt it to the third baseman, and then as the runner, you just follow him down. But if Cody Ashley charges too far, that allows Espinosa to get a good jump. And it looks like Zimmerman's going to bunt it to Ryan Howard.
So the Nats with a great chance to take the lead here. If not in this at bat, at least get 2 runners to scoring position. Well, when your number 8 hitter gets an RBI, that is so huge. Nationals have 6 hits already. And Zimmerman kind of taking a stab at that one. Harang cutting it away from him. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Jordan has a homer, 12 career RBIs. See if the bunt's still on here with 2 strikes. He's one of the few pitchers fast enough to leg out a fielder's choice. He was swinging, and he strikes out. 2 down.
Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller time later in today's game. That's brought to you by Miller Lite. Chopped off Miller Lite.
Top of the order, Michael A. Taylor. Single, run scored, strikeout today. Batting average at .289. Michael A. Taylor came into this game in the top 8 in the league with runners in scoring position at .571. He was ripping on 2-0.
Bet fastball got the slider.
Mercedes-Benz will track it.
He's all in on number one, and he got the slider down the way. See the sequence. They're keeping it away from Taylor.
37-year-old pitcher knowing what to throw to a 24-year-old kid. He made an offer. Ball got away. No advancement by the runners. There is an appeal. I thought they might, and Vic Carapazza says he did swing. So that moves the count. Yeah, 2-2 now.
Well, if you check swing at that one, he may see another one right here.
A little uncertain on the harangue breaking balls here. Right down the middle. Never got the heater. The Nats pick up a run on a Lobaton RBI. His first of the year to tie things up. Supposed to be up in the 80s, low 80s today.
That's a Great Dane, folks.
What's that?
That's a beagle.
Smart people covering the important news stories from all the right places. That's the WUSA 9 Morning News difference. Now on weekends, watch tomorrow morning starting at 7 on WUSA 9.
That is, I think, a Doberman Pinscher. It's a bloodhound.
You've never been to Westminster, have you?
Nailed that.
Leading off the fifth, Cameron Rupp popping it up. Ryan Zimmerman battling the sun, stays with it. When he catches it, it's a foul ball. He's handled everything right there.
Join us in celebrating the first of 6 10-year Tuesdays at Naxton Park on April 21st. The first 10,000 fans in attendance will receive a 10-year anniversary stationery set. Enjoy 10-year highlights during the game and a special appearance by former Nat Nick Johnson. He can throw off the first pitch, Cart.
That left-handed whip. I'm sure Nick will do a great job. It'll be great to see him and Liz. And a bouncing ball to the left side. Danny Espinosa sets up and guns out Aaron Harangue. 2 down.
Ten years.
Seems like just yesterday when the Nats beat the Phillies 7-2, because it was. But gosh, when you think back on the time, it really has gone fast. I just remember how we couldn't wait to get out of RFK Stadium and get into this ballpark. And whenever we'd come back from a road trip and drive 395 past South Capitol Street, everybody on the bus would turn and look to see, hey, there's more seats in the upper deck. Hey, there's light poles. There's light standards. We were tracking the progress of this ballpark. And then there was a Saturday when they actually brought the team over here, and the field was debris and concrete and wood hill, chunks of wood and gravel. They came over here and took batting practice on a Saturday afternoon. We had to climb over a rock wall in left field to get down by home plate. That was Jordan Zimmerman up and into Herrera, who managed to foul that pitch off. And now it's turned into one of the really nice ballparks in baseball.
He was swinging at this pitch no matter where it was.
Right on the R on that Rawlings bat.
Wow. I think the X-Mo just makes everything look dramatic. But even to your point, Carb, even Navy Yard, this whole area, and I've lived here for 3 years now. I mean, it's grown crazy. Screech has got to be roasting today in that thing.
One ball, two strikes. Lost the bat trying to get out of the way.
The more we watch Odubel Herrera, I mean, he's got some talent, but he does have a flair for the dramatics. You remember in Philadelphia when his helmet came off and his sunglasses came off and he went all the way to third base, and you were thinking that maybe if he tried to score, his whole uniform would have came off.
It's been a tough out in this series. 3 for 9 with a base on balls.
I bet
Nissan will track it.
I bet you Nissan thought this was a strike. No, just a little in. I know Jordan Zimmerman did.
He's 23 years of age. From Zulia, Venezuela. Rule 5 pickup from Texas back in December. He just slaps it on a play and stays alive. Started last season at Myrtle Beach, which is the Rangers' high A ball club. Hit .297 there. I think Myrtle Beach might be the Cubs' A ball club this year. Then he went on to Double-A Frisco and hit .321, led the Texas League. They left him unprotected. Phillies grabbed him.
I've seen in the past in a situation like this where Jordan throws that 3-2 slider at the back knee of a lefty.
Grinding out a good at bat here. Time given. He's the one who made the error really hurt last inning. After the Desmond glitch on the Harang ground ball, he doubled the left center. Galvis sent him in. Utley sent a run home with an RBI ground ball, and there's Herrera working for a walk. He has stolen one base in one attempt. Jordan Zimmerman's second walk today.
Now they decided on a 3-2 fastball in eventually at 95, just misses off the plate.
I know everybody had Odubel, Herrera, and Freddie Galvis as a potent 1-2 punch going into the season.
Well, Herrera,
but they've kind of been that for the Phillies.
He can be off to the races here early. He likes to steal early in the count, especially here with 2 outs.
There he goes. Lobatone's throw off to the shortstop's side, and he's in there. 2 for 2 as a big leaguer.
Young players with a lot of ability really don't know how to set a pitcher up and sit on a pitch to steal on and wait for off speed. And Herrera's shown time and time again in this series that he just likes to run early. He's got good speed. He got a great jump right there, so he doesn't care what pitch is coming. He's going to steal.
Managed to somehow stay on that bag. Well, Freddie Galvis has driven a run in today. He's driven in 4 on the year. hitting .316. Then there's a bit of a pause here as the Nats look into the dugout. And evidently no challenge forthcoming. If there was a challenge, it would probably be that he came off the bag, but it appeared he barely stayed on.
Well, Freddie Galvis has looked good early in the season. He's hitting .316 right now. Chase Utley 132 on deck. He got a base, but it's still Chase Utley on deck.
Most at bats he ever had in the big leagues, 205 2 years ago. Career .218 hitter. Has a backup to Jimmy Rollins. Two and one. Jordan Zimmermann, 15 pitches this inning. The 2-out walk extending things here. He's trying to keep the game tied. Some guns coming up for the Nats in the bottom of this inning. And a little flare out into left. Desmond tracking it. Can't get there. Phillies retake the lead. Freddie Galvis, another hit and another RBI.
Bat died a hero. And you look where he makes contact, and you thought Ian Desmond had a beat on this for a minute. It looked like the sun might have been a factor. He tries to block the sun out with his glove, and I think that might have been the difference of him getting that ball or not.
Two-out walk comes back to haunt with the stolen base. And here's Chase Utley. .93 on the heater inside, 2-0.
Pitch number 67 coming from Jordan Zimmermann.
Yeah, his longest inning. He started this frame with 47 total.
But you wonder how many extra he's thrown because of some plays not made behind him. I would say about 20 if I had to guess.
Yeah. Two-one, and Utley fouls it. over by the Nats dugout.
He gonna get a new bat? That sounded like he broke his bat on that.
Sounded funny. You're right.
He's staying right in there with that same piece of wood.
Kind of crazy that with the error in the third, he only threw 10 pitches to 6 batters. But he could have been out of the inning a lot quicker. When you got Herrera and Galvis in there, those guys will be swinging early. 2-2 pitch. Utley out to center, not hit that hard. Here comes Taylor. Michael, a slide after he grabs it. Well done.
Chase Utley could not buy a base hit.
Phillies a run on a hit, a costly walk. They've left 3, and here's some good defense for you. Presented by authority of the Washington Nationals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. We are ready for the bottom of the 5th inning. So Harang to Ian Desmond with a strike. Ian 2 for 2, a bunt base hit and a shot to right center. Target in. Harang got in there and then picks off the one hopper. Bryce Harper stepping in. Dan has more.
Bob, Bryce Harper feels good at the plate right now. Matt Williams feels good about what he's seeing from Bryce Harper. He said that he's quick and quiet right now, and when Harper gets a little too aggressive at the plate, he does what Rick Shue calls raging at the ball. He kind of jumps at it. He's letting the ball get to him now. He's quiet. He says, I don't need to hit it 900 feet. I can let the velocity of the pitch propel it. I'm just going to try and be quiet and swing easy.
Well, and I think P pointed out how well he's doing on off-speed pitches like last night's big hook.
Well, he wore Ryan Zimmerman's batting gloves last night and they worked. Got a curveball from Sean O'Sullivan, let it travel, hit his barrel, and then the ball big time travel to center field. When he hits them, folks, they stay hit. Do you see the number 7 medallion he's got on? Mickey Mantle's his favorite player, was his dad's favorite player, and that's why he wears number 34, because it equals 7.
Yeah, cool.
There it is. Whose gloves does he have on today? His. BH.
And by the way, if you're looking for a reason to come to the ball game tomorrow, other than Nats Phils, a whole bunch of new guys going into the DC Sports Hall of Fame, including the great Maury Wills. Harper, deep center field again. See you later. Oh my, look where it hits. We've never seen one on the back wall out there. The Nats are back even. Bryce has hit 4 this year.
Oh my goodness.
That's the longest home run to center field we have seen in this ballpark.
Are you kidding me? When he hits them, they stay in. And that one was a far-tater. My goodness.
Right up to the top of the green wall. And if it wasn't for that wall, our production truck would be rattling around right now. He hit his first major league home run onto the artificial turf of the batter's eye out there. This one probably 40, 50 feet farther than that. Ryan Zimmerman to right. And Jeff Francoeur will come in for this one.
All right, can I please see that home run about 6 more times? Let's check out the swing and the mechanics right here. I mean, it's so easy. And for the first couple years with Bryce, you were wondering why he was so jumpy up there trying to generate so much power when he has it naturally. And now it's kind of all coming together, folks. I mean, it really is. He's very calm, very quiet up there. A very relaxed player this year, not trying to do too much, taking his walks. And that ball was just absolutely pummeled.
I am stunned where that ball hit.
I've seen him hit in there in BP, but never in a game. I unofficially have that at 750 feet.
And right now, only Adrian Gonzalez has hit more homers in the National League than Bryce Harper.
Wow.
Plus, he got robbed out of one by Mookie Betts in Boston on Monday. So Utley takes care of that, but Bryce Harper takes care of the deficit. He goes at least 450 or 460 to dead center field. The Nats on Bryce's fourth, back even at 3.
Mercedes-Benz of Arlington and Mercedes-Benz of Alexandria. This one's tied at 3 as we head to the top of the 6th inning, and it's tied because of this. I think it should account for 2 runs. Look how far this goes. This will give you a great perspective on where this ball lands. It's a great shot. It was still going, too.
Come on.
It wasn't really even on its way down. It was still going. Ian Desmond, helmet taker offer guy, and here comes the hair. Oh, we didn't see it.
6th inning underway and a high pitch to Jeff Francoeur. Jordan Zimmerman threw 5, 68 pitches, 43 strikes. .25 over when Bryce homers. Wow. And, of course, that for the Nationals, their 14th of the year, which ties them with the Dodgers. They'll be hosting Colorado tonight. Worst thing Jordan could do would be to walk the leadoff guy after that, and he does. 2-out walk in the 5th, leadoff walk here in the 6th.
He's walked Francoeur twice today. It's a tough guy to walk.
It is 3 total. Cody Ashe next, and he doubled deep in the gap, right center. Last time up.
You know, a lot of times when you're missing high with your fastball, the best way to get back into it to your release point is maybe call an off-speed pitch. It slows you down, it gets you back out in front, get your release point back. Right now, Zimmerman having trouble with that. Steve McCann going to come out and tighten him up.
Phillies box. 2 gift runs in the 3rd. RBIs by Galvis and Utley with a single ground ball respectively. Freddie Galvis drove in another one in the 5th after the 2-out walk and a steal. Odubel Herrera. So Freddie Galvis has knocked in 2 of his 5 on the season. Right here. Nats keep battling back. And now Jordan battling some command issues. So Steve McCatty didn't wait for ball 2.
Off speed. Let's see if that gets his fastball back.
Over but low. I don't know. Have we ever seen Jordan Zimmerman throw 7 balls in a row?
Negative.
One more walk will get the bullpen working. There's stirring out there.
Let's see if Ryan Sandberg decides to start Jeff Frank Kroger in a 3-2 count. Aaron Barrett getting loose. Ashe's a contact guy. I'd be shocked if he didn't go right here.
Runner on the move.
Treat your clients, employees, friends, family, strangers to an amazing outing at Nats Park this season. New for 2015. You can have your group out and watch batting practice from the dugout, or you can hold the finish line for the Geico President's Race. Call 202-675-NATS or visit nationals.com for details.
Cody Ashe 1 for 2 with a double. Long at bat here. Francoeur running again. Out of play.
I just don't think that Jordan has the confidence he usually does in that slider. When it's going good and he's got his release point, he drops it 3-2 all the time on lefties at his back knee. And you see a bunch of fastballs in a row here to Ashe. And he knows that if he could command that he's got to strike him out, throw him out situation. Just try and throw a strike with the heater.
Target away. Fastball up, hammered, well fouled.
And I think more importantly, Carb, Jose Lobaton knows that he can't go to that pitch right now, even though the more fastballs that Cody Ashe sees, he's starting to time him up pretty good.
Tenth pitch of the at-bat about to happen.
Slider.
Hammered. Zimmerman picks it, and that is a double play. Jeff Francoeur just got to second base and turned around and thought, what in the heck just happened? Another brilliant play it was by Ryan Zimmerman. Now the runner's still at second.
He has been so good over there. Watch the reactions by Ryan Zimmerman.
That's a clean catch.
Yeah, ball never hit the dirt.
Francoeur doesn't know it yet. Now they're calling him into the dugout.
Nice play.
That ball was stung. 2 outs, bases empty. Darren Ruff, the hitter.
But you see why it took him so long to get to that slider? That pitch didn't do a whole lot. Ashley was right on it. He just didn't have a feel for it, or doesn't have a feel for it like he's had in the past. They threw it anyways, but a nice play bailed him out.
And that one right there backed up that he threw to Darren Ruff for a strike. 93 misses outside, counts even 1-1. Good slider there, late break to it. Counts 1-2. Well, Jordan's due to bat 4th in the bottom of the 6th. Pitch count nearing 90. He's at 86 unofficially. And this time with help from his defense, he gets through 6. So one sin helps another, turning a huge double play. Ugla, Espinosa, Lobaton straight ahead. Bottom of the 6th inning. Ugla, Espinosa, Lobaton. Dan Ugla has hit more homers against the Phillies as a middle infielder in the last 5 years than anybody in baseball. 16 of them. Danny Espinosa 9, Ian Desmond 8, Hanley Ramirez 6.
Should have a healthy swing right here.
2-0. But Orang misses up and in. This doesn't mean you're getting a 3-0 fastball either. He was hacking. Hits it a ton. Well fouled. Nats box. First inning run. Taylor a base hit. Desmond a bunt hit. RBI grounder Zimmerman. The Lobatone RBI single was big with one out in the fourth. Jose's first of the year. Then the Harper absolute blast to tie the game last inning. Orang has not given up a homer this year until Bryce Harper got him. And he does not throw a fastball on 3-2 to Dan Uggla, the leadoff man on. That's his second walk today.
What's the word of the day today? Well, might be apropos. Resilient to 29292 for a chance to win a meet and greet with Matt Williams. That's presented by Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield, who encourages each of us to take that first step towards a healthier and more active lifestyle.
Next up, Danny Espinosa. He's lined out hard to center and walked.
Hey, Matt Williams liked the way Danny Espinosa is swinging. And he's choosing not to bunt right here.
Number 8 hitter on deck. Espinosa hits one well to right center, and that is caught by Frank Gore. He was playing way off the line as the Phillies pinched him toward the gap, and it paid off for them. That's a tough luck 0 for 2.
Jose Lobatone, nice play right here to get Cody Askew read the ball in the dirt. Danny Espinosa with the knee drop, blocking the bag, and then the big chopper up the middle for an RBI. So he doesn't get to play very often, but Jose Lobatone piecing together a real nice day here. A little hat tip toward the bench.
Jordan Zimmerman is on deck.
Could be a decoy.
Could be, as Aaron Barrett continues to throw. The Nationals have no left-handed bats on the bench.
I think I see Reed Johnson with the bat in his hand right now.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, you know what you're going to get from Aaron Durant. He's going to pound the strike zone. He's not afraid. He's going to give up 2-3 runs a game. And it's just a matter if you can score him some runs yourself. But, you know, he's been pretty good here today.
He's been pretty good against the Nats for the last couple of seasons. He was a headache with Atlanta last year. His career record is 123 and 129 with a 4.19 ERA, but he's highly thought of enough that he's been around long enough to make 355 starts in the major leagues going back to Oakland. He broke in with the A's in 2002. Lobatone hangs tough.
There's not too many guys left that I can say was a former teammate.
I've noticed you're saying that less and less every year.
He's one of them.
Now you're saying my dad was a former teammate.
Yeah.
Or his dad was a former teammate. There he is. 15 complete games, 8 shutouts. Lobatone takes a pitch, it tails up and away, 3-2.
Not an easy take.
Jose hit 234 with 12 RBIs here last year. Good receiver, threw out 33%.
See if Matt Williams starts Dan Uggla.
Short lead, but he does. Lobatone fouls it away.
By Matt Williams starting Dan Uggla, he's telling everybody that Jordan Zimmerman's day is over. He would not be starting the runner here with the pitcher on deck if he was going to hit. You'd think. Ooh.
Three ball game, bottom of the 6th. 3-7-1 Nats, 3-4-0 Phils. Hugler running. Lobaton strikes out. Throw to second. And they did it. Strike him out, throw him out. Inning over. And we will be tied going into the 7th. Who will be pitching? Strasburg, 0-1, trying to bring down that 6.75 ERA in his career. 4-1 with a 2.09 in 11 starts against the Phillies. He frustrated some Mets hitters here earlier. David Buchanan, 0-2 with an 11.42 ERA goes for the Phils. Johnny and Ray at 12, actually 1 o'clock tomorrow. We join you from the booth at 1:30. Jordan Zimmerman obviously still in the game.
And now it's time for Toyota's K's for Kids. The Washington area DC Toyota dealers want to help children and their families by making a donation of $37 to the Children's Inn at NIH for every strikeout by a Nats pitcher this season.
And the first pitch of the 7th inning. Just barely into the seats. Ian Desmond looking at it after running way over from short. Ryan Howard, 2nd inning strikeout. 4th inning ground ball out into right field where Danny Espinosa is now.
There comes a time in every hitter's career where the game starts to move fast again. When you're a rookie, you come up, the game's moving super fast, and it's up to you to kind of slow it down with experience. And then at the end of your career, it starts moving fast again. And I think right now for Ryan Howard, the game is moving fast. I remember at the end of my career, 91 looked like 101. And you'd look up at the scoreboard after a pitch and think, this guy's throwing gas. And you'd look up there and it's at 89, 90. And that's when you kind of start to get in your own head and wonder if the end is near. Right now, Ryan Howard having trouble getting to fastballs, and it looks like the game's moving fast.
That's a foul ball. Ryan was very close to the line.
A little souvenir day at the yard.
New commissioner's name on the baseball this year.
Just keep it away from all the dogs.
By the way, the Nats are using anniversary baseballs for all the home games. They got a Nats logo on it, says 10th anniversary. Ryan Howard, keep it away from the dogs. That's an expensive chew piece right there, that's for sure.
Especially the Labs. That's an Afghan hound.
Three and two. Jordan's last inning. If he can get through it, fine. But the Leafs might get very short here with a base on balls. Not even close. Fourth walk. Second consecutive inning with a leadoff walk. Right-handed hitting catcher Cameron Rupp coming up. They've got Ben Revere and Grady Sizemore, lefties on the bench. They have a couple of switch hitters in Andres Blanco and Cesar Hernandez. One of them will come out and pinch run right now. It'll be Ben Revere. That represents the lead run.
Well, you and I watched Major League 2 before we came on the air today. And Willie Mays Hayes pinch ran in that game.
Stole 3 bags.
Second, third, and home. So I don't think Ben Revere is going to do that, but you never know.
Next time I see Bob Uecker, I got to ask him about the sleeveless undershirt he was calling in that game in.
And the tan he had working.
Yeah, he'd just come from the tanning salon.
My goodness.
Proof that the sequel never equals the original.
Yeah, it was tired.
Cameron Rupp, strikeout looking. Pop foul to Zimmerman. And Jordan keeps checking the runner. Revere's shorter lead now. Long pause. Time given by Brian Knight, the home plate umpire. With the runner holding, a big swing.
Yeah, doing a nice job of varying his tempo right now. And, you know, Randy Dorr does a great job of controlling the running game. You remember when Davey Johnson was manager of the Nationals, teams used to run wild on him because his theory was, you know, my pitchers are so good, go ahead and steal second and third, you're not going to score. So there wasn't a whole lot of throwovers to control the running game. Last year, Randy was as good as anybody doing that. And how do you do that? I mean, you just vary your tempo as a pitcher. You hold the ball a little bit longer. You don't get into the same rhythm. You step off. And a lot of these throwovers are designed to see if Ben Revere is actually going, if he's going to tip that he's going. Kind of laughing at Zimmerman. They're having a look at each other.
Cameron Rupp getting his cuts here. 3 o'clock in our nation's capital. Ball game started at 1:06. Nats are running the first. Phil's 2 in the third. Couple of unearned runs. Washington single tallies in the 4th and the 5th. After the Phils had taken the lead in the 5th inning, now they're trying to do it again. Runner on the move. Lobaton's throw nowhere near the bag. Ben Revere. Third steal of the year, by the way, in 4 attempts.
You had a feeling he was going right there because you saw him lean back to first base before he went. He was trying to deke Ryan Zimmerman and thinking he was thinking about getting back. So he leaned back to first and then got a great jump. Lobaton didn't have a chance.
Just managed to keep his toe on the bag.
That is a cool shot.
It's a sandstorm at second base.
Count the grains of dirt.
I need a drink of water after seeing that. Pitch number 100 coming from Jordan Zimmerman.
Tough situation for a hitter right here. Try to move a runner with 2 strikes.
Is it deep enough? Bryce Harper's going to get some momentum behind this throw. Revere's going. It's a bullet to third, and he's just too fast. In there with 1 out.
Well, good at bat by Cameron Rupp right there. 2-strike count against a pretty good pitcher. Gets the bat of the ball deep enough to advance Ben Revere. Nice at bat. And right here you thought this is going to be fun. Good arm, good wheels. Who wins? Ben Revere.
Grady Sizemore will be the pinch hitter, but he won't be facing Jordan Zimmerman.
He did a nice job of coming in on that ball, getting his momentum, but you see it just kind of sail a little bit toward left field. But even if that was right on the money, he was safe.
So Jordan will be done after 6 1/3. 4 walks not helping the cause today. Some not great defense behind him not helping the cause. It was a battle as Zimmerman continues to try to find his niche. By DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball free on DraftKings.com. Enter promo code Dugout for free entry. Just hanging on that bag. Ben Revere on the steal a few moments ago. Goes to third on a fly ball to Bryce Harper. And here's Grady Sizemore against Matt Thornton. Matt, 1 appearance in the series. He lined out Chase Utley in a 1-batter lefty-lefty matchup Thursday night.
Yeah, fastball 94, slider 84, occasional changeup at 88.
And these two know each other. 18 matchups. Grady Sizemore 5 for 18 with a home run, 5 walks, 8 strikeouts against lefty Matt Thornton.
Infield in.
Zimmerman picks it, a throw to home, too late. The speed of Ben Revere changing this inning and giving the Phillies the lead. That's why FP and I have been so surprised to see that guy on the bench.
You know, he's a game changer when he gets on the base. This time as a pinch runner, and a nice move by Ryan Sandberg inserted him into this game. And I think just the fact that Ryan Zimmerman was off balance right here, the decision to go home was right, but once he stumbles, the gig is off with the guy as fast as Revere. The ball was hit hard enough to get Revere have a play on him at the plate, but once he lost his balance, no shot.
Fielder's choice, even though the runner gets to first base safely. And Grady Sizemore on the RBI, his first of the year. Now it's Thornton against the left-handed pest Odubel Herrera. He airs it out. Double, walk, steal, 2 runs scored. Phillies little guys and their speed, the difference in this game.
I mean, he kind of was like Willie Mays Hayes right there. Even though he didn't steal third or steal home, I mean, he advanced on the fly ball. On a bullet to first, he scored.
Base hit. The kid's done it again. He's on for the 3rd time today. Seldom pulls the ball. First and second, still 1 out. Freddie Galvis, the hitter.
Yeah, Herrera's a good hitter, but I think, once he gets around the league a few times, you're going to start to wonder if you need to throw him strikes. You see how shallow Espinosa's playing right there. But we've seen him a few times in this series kind of designate that I'm swinging at this pitch no matter where it is. Once scouts see him for a bit, I don't think you have to throw him a whole lot of strikes.
Galvis, the switch hitter. 3 for 4 from the right side this year. And facing Thornton for the first time.
Galvis almost out of the batter's box. See where his right foot is set up. I mean, it's towing the line big time. When he comes set, that right foot is right on the line.
Borderline 88 could have been called either way. And a 2-1. Little flare. Dan Ugla. 2 outs. It'll be Thornton and Utley.
Carolina League's defending champion Potomac Nationals are back in action till the 27th. The homestand highlights include replica jersey giveaway, Saturday night fireworks, Sunday Bark in the Park Dog Day, and Monday is dollar hot dogs. For all your ticket and promotional information, call the number on your screen.
Chase Utley 0 for 3. Taylor made a good grab on his flare to center last time up. He has a RBI grounder. Ryan Zimmerman does it again. What would the score be in this game without his defense at first base?
I mean, he's officially an elite defender at first base this soon in the season. We knew he'd be good, but nobody thought he'd be this good. Great play after great play. Ryan Zimmerman once again.
Nationals Park. Great crowd on hand today, 35,930 cherry blossoms in full bloom here in D.C. And the Nats have some work left. Could have been a lot worse that 7th inning. In fact, if it wasn't for Ryan Zimmerman, the 6th inning could have been a lot worse. He's probably saved at least 1, maybe 2 to 3 runs today with his glove. Smart people covering the important news stories from all the right places. That's the WUSA 9 Morning News Difference now on weekends. Watch tomorrow morning starting at 7 on WUSA 9. Here's Luis Garcia. His second appearance of the series. A hit, a strikeout, a scoreless 7th inning against Escobar, Desmond, and Worth on Thursday. And he faces Reed Johnson leading off here for the Nats. Ben Revere goes to left. That'll move Darren Ruff into the infield. He'll be at first base after Revere ran for Ryan Howard. Tight slider. Got the call.
Might have been a cutter, Carp. That was 95.
Yeah, it had to be
looked like a slider.
Wow, that's a slider. That's uncharted waters.
I mean, that was, but it had slider action in 95.
Reed Johnson 0 for 1 against his right-hander. That'll stand you up straight.
Yeah, down by 1, bottom of the 7th, off the bench, leading off. You'd think, well, a lot of hitters right here take 3-1, fill it up, because your thought process is you're going to get the same pitch 3-2 that you get 3-1. And a leadoff type guy like Reed Johnson, I wouldn't be surprised if he's taken here, but you never know.
Yeah, he was hacking. This will be close. It's over by the tarp and out of play.
Like I said, he's going to be swinging all the way.
This game's been like a chess match. Nats led 1-0, trailed 2-1, tied it. Trailed 3-2, tied it. Now trailing 4-3. What's the next move? Jordan Zimmerman, 101 pitches, 61 strikes in his 6 1/3. Swing and a miss on 97. We talk about this all the time. That's the big difference in baseball now, FP. You used to say can't wait to get into a guy's bullpen. Now you're looking at this.
Look at the movement on it, though. You see the rotation. That's a 97-mile-an-hour cutter, folks.
Sure.
Look at that late movement, kind of some depth to it where it was actually breaking at 97. My goodness.
Taylor and Desmond, the next 2 right-handed hitters with tall orders here. So Michael A pushing a bunt to the right side. Just able to get enough on the throw was Garcia.
Well, there was 3 guys on the end of the Nats bench that said safe, so we'll see if Matt Williams decides to take a look at this. He already's motioned to Brian Knight that he's going to ask the guys in the clubhouse.
Oh, close.
Pretty close. Exmo never lies. Here we go. He's out.
Yeah. Ian Desmond, 2 outs, bases empty. He's 2 for 3. And he's 3 for 4 career against Garcia. First pitch slider, not the heater.
Well, I know what Ian Desmond's thinking right now. I'm going to go deep and make everything okay.
Oh-2 battle now. Target way out there. He got too much of the plate. Desmond up the middle.
And Ian Desmond's 3 for 4. Garcia didn't get that ball out to where Cameron Rupp was set up.
Well, just like we promised you earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lights. And what else would it be at this point? The huge bomb off the bat of Bryce Harper. And I think the only other person I've seen hit it there, as you look at the tremendous salad once again today, is Giancarlo Stanton. I think he hit a low-line drive in the same spot here last year at Nats Park. Same exact spot, actually.
Harper 0 for 3 against Luis Garcia. Right through the wickets, and the tying run, just like that, goes to second base.
That is a big 390 feet from the Phillies. And that's just a guy trying to throw the greatest slider ever, because Bryce Harper hit one 500 feet his time before, overthrew it. 5-hole, tying run in scoring position. Might take the bat out of Bryce Harper's hands. Let's see what the Phillies decide to do here. They're going to walk him.
And take on Ryan Zimmerman. Get ready for boos.
I mean, it's the right move. This guy's throwing a 97-mile-an-hour cutter. Ryan Sandberg wants the right-on-right matchup. He's seen the damage that Bryce Harper's done in this series. You know, as a hitter on deck, you take this personally, but you know, this is the right move, regardless if it works for Sandberg or not.
Ryan Zimmerman 0 for 3, RBI grounder today. Trying to be the first Nat to get to 10 batted in.
He's taking a bunch of first pitch fastballs right down the middle today. This wouldn't be a bad time to ambush.
Good speed at second and first. Tying run, lead run aboard. Zimmerman slaps it up the middle. Chase Utley picks it off and returns the favor to Ryan Zimmerman after Zim has cost the Phillies some runs with his glove today. Brilliant play by Utley to keep the Phillies on top into the 8th inning.
Nats Park. 4-3 heading to the top of the 8th inning. Aaron Barrett on for the Nats. Follow Nationals all season in 2015 with MLB.com. At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-in, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, and StatCasts. Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet.
Aaron Barrett for the 8th. Francoeur, Ashe, and Ruff, 2 of the 3 hitters he faced here on Thursday night.
Fastball 94, slider 84. 6th appearance for Barrett already.
He struck out Jeff Francoeur with a pitch in the dirt Thursday in a scoreless 8th inning. Nats are on their way to a 5-2 win. Francoeur 0 for 1, 2 walks. And he bolts the fastball 95 to the outer edge. Close.
Really has him set up for the slider if he wants to go to it.
That's the out pitch on Francoeur as a rule. There it is. Kind of a textbook matchup for Aaron Barrett right there. Second time he's done that in this series to Francoeur. With more on the Bear, here's Dan.
Bob, we all know how good Aaron Barrett's slider is. We just saw it right there. But the Nationals have also been very pleased with how Barrett's fastball has looked early on this season. It's got a lot of movement on it. He's been able to locate it down in the zone, and that's been a big part of why he's been so effective in his appearances early on this season.
He has got all the stuff in the world. Working from ahead, he's just about untouchable. Cody Ashe has had 2 good at-bats today. A double. Robbed of a double by Ryan Zimmerman on that diving double play ball back in the 6th. He lined out to center against Barrett here Thursday night. Took a little bit off. Had a funny sound coming off the bat. 50 games for the Nats last year as a rookie with a 2.66 ERA.
So the beautiful thing about throwing a first pitch slider for a strike, if you're a hitter now, you have to respect the rotation when you pick it up with 2. And Barrett has the luxury of not throwing it for a strike right here, maybe bouncing it to see if he'll get a chase.
Over to the left side. Just unable to get there. Danny Espinosa. If it's in the air for a while, Danny will get there with his speed. One out and a count of 1-2.
Three shakes to a fastball in.
That ball is laced to right. Bryce Harper in his tracks, 2 down. Boy, Ashe's hit the ball hard 3 times today. Next 5 ball games. Tomorrow it'll be Strasburg against David Buchanan. Then the Cardinals are coming to town, and that's a 3-game series after the off day on Monday.
Tuesday, it'll be Gio and Lance Lynn, Doug Fister, John Lackey on Wednesday. Thursday, a 4:05 game, Max Scherzer and Michael Wacha. And then it's on to a long road trip. Miami, Atlanta, and New York. Nats will dive right back into divisional play after that St. Louis series. That's a breaking ball, skied to left, pretty deep by Darren Ruff, and it is caught by Clint Robinson. Probably his toughest chance as a big leaguer in the outfield.
Yeah, a handful of games in left field, and he gets tested right there. Not a problem.
To the bottom of the 8th, he gets to lead off Ugla and then Espinosa. Hits off Ken Giles last night, could not score against him. Honda has our Nationals due up, and what guys have done in this series. Clint Robinson has only started the series today. Dan Ugla, a walk today, but he's 0 for 4. And Danny Espinosa, even though 1 for 7, he has a home run and 3 bases on balls. In fact, Espinosa's 2 outs today have been line drives to the outfield. Hard throwing Ken Giles.
Yeah, fastball last year averaged 97. This year, early returns at 94. But last night, he was throwing 97, 98. He's got a slider to go with it at 85.
Clint Robinson 1 for 1 against him. That was in Philly last weekend, but Chase Utley gobbles that one up. 2 of the old pros in this game, Ryan Zimmerman and Chase Utley, have made differences with their defense. So Ryan Sandberg has his bullpen set up to get to Jonathan Papelbon in the bottom of the 9th. And that guy's been tough on the Nats. Here's Ugla. I've got this as their first career matchup. Dan is hit hard to center. Ground ball to third and a walk. This guy's capable of pulling out the long ball anytime. That is nasty. 85. A lot of break. A lot of drop. All locked up on that one. 2 down. So in this inning, it's up to Danny Espinosa. 0 for 1 career against Giles.
That's a get-me-over slider to steal strike one.
Yeah, Blake Trinan, if the Nats do not have the lead going into the ninth. Drew Storn, if they do. And maybe even Drew if they tie it. Closer can't get a save at home after the ninth inning.
See if they go back to the slider after that high fastball.
He does. Espinosa slaps it into right. Well, Danny's bat continues to show life. On base for the second time today. That'll leave it up to Jose Lobaton here in the eighth.
Hey, even though the guy throws 95 and 97, when you see a high fastball like that as a hitter, you know he's just showing it to you to get back to the slider. And watch how Danny Espinosa is on this 1-2 slider. And he's been on everything today. Hit a couple of hard balls to center field. He walked, and now he has something to show for the day. And you'd think he's thinking about stealing here early in the count.
Lobaton, 1 for 3 today with an RBI. First career at bat against Ken Giles. Lobaton to right, hits it well, but it's right at Jeff Francoeur. Both teams have lined out a lot to the outfield in this series. To the ninth, Phillies 4-3.
And you're looking at him right there, Ben Revere. Nice move by Ryan Sandberg, pinch running Revere for Howard. That was in the 7th inning, so the old Phillies color analyst Chris Wheeler, his nickname was Wheels. Well, full tribute to him right here, the wheels of Ben Revere. Stealing second, advancing to third, then on a sharp hit ball to Ryan Zimmerman, who's had an amazing day with the glove at first base. He's able to beat the throw home.
And anybody who thought maybe Ryan Zimmerman couldn't throw home on a play like that, another checklist item taken care of. Here's Blake Trinan for the ninth to keep it 4-3.
That two-seam fastball that has split action, 95 to 98 miles an hour, slider and change to go with it.
First appearance of this series. Ben Revere facing him for the first time. Revere off to a 5 for 37 start with 6 strikeouts. Pretty much benched for the last week or so. 97 outside 1-2. Had him reaching. Wicked slider. Pretty good take.
Revere 3 for his last 13, and this is his first at bat in the series.
Blake turned that one over nicely. Man, I say turned one over. It's 96, and the movement is just crazy on a pitch of that speed.
But he's so effortless out there. I mean, there's times when you look up and you think it's a changeup, and you see 97 on the gun. That's why I call him Blake not trying him. It looks like he's not trying.
Leadoff man, 9th inning. And the ball lined out to right center, and Ben Revere is off to the races. The Nats will have to hurry to keep this from being a triple, and Bryce Harper able to cut it off. There might be a fast guy in the Phillies lineup tomorrow.
Well, you talked about already today. I have no idea why this guy hasn't played the first couple of games of this series. He's a game changer. He was just a T-Mobile game changer.
Yeah. You know, he's 5 for 35, as I said, but it's not like the rest of the team's hitting 280.
Yeah, I don't get it, but that's not my job. A leadoff double here in the 9th.
It's a huge run for the Phillies. Cameron Rupp will try to move him over, and then Cesar Hernandez will be next in the number 9 spot.
Well, Rupp had the same at-bat in the 7th inning. Revere pinch ran for Ryan Howard, stole second, and Rupp hit a deep enough fly ball. We just showed it to Bryce Harper to advance Revere, so same job against a different pitcher.
Even when it's center cut, that late movement makes it hard to center.
Well, that's the pitch. Cameron Rupp's job is to get his hands inside of 97 coming toward him with sink and hit it to the right side. Yeah. So Blake trying to run that sinker in his hands. And that's what you have to do in this situation if you're the Nats, and a tough assignment for Rupp right here with 2 strikes.
Slider back to the pitcher, looks the runner back. Well done for the first out. Cesar Hernandez will be next. He'll be facing Trinan for the first time.
Now it's up to Ian Desmond and Dan Uggla to keep Ben Revere close right here. Don't let him get a walking lead to steal third.
24-year-old switch hitting infielder.
Looks like the assignment's up to Ian Desmond.
Hernandez 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs as a pinch hitter. Slaps it to the right side. Uggla 2 down. Now the pesky Odubel Herrera. And he was 0 for 2 against Blake in Philly last week.
Well, this is a good matchup for Herrera. He likes the ball out over. He likes to go the other way, and that's what Trine and Sinker does. And he's swinging.
That's trying to keep this 4-3. Even with 2 outs, Danny Espinosa on the grass at third. Have to protect him against the little chopper, as FP described earlier. Matt Williams communicating with Danny. And that's going to get the job done for the Phillies. Herrera, a 3-hit day, on base for the 4th time, and it's a 2-run Philadelphia lead.
Yeah, not waiting around. First pitch hunting, got the 2-seam fastball and bounced it up the middle. Good effort by Ugla, but it was by him. Nice day for the Phillies leadoff man.
Here's Freddie Galvis. He has 2 RBIs today. And they could turn Herrera loose here and try to take a 3-run lead. There he goes. And the pitch hits the umpire and rolls down the first base line to Ryan Zimmerman. Jose Lobaton fanned on it. Stolen base, Herrera.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Brian Knight hit hard.
Watch this. Lobaton fans on. He's trying to get rid of the exchange so quick that he misses the pitch. I mean, he never even got a glove on it. And that got Brian Knight square, folks, and let's hope he's okay.
It's got to be a horrible feeling for the catcher.
That's an upper 90s fastball that hit him right between the eyes.
Steve Gober out to help from the Nats staff. And right now,
he's got the look like he's got a concussion.
Yeah, he's done. Looks like Larry Vanover is going up the tunnel on the third base side to put on the home plate umpiring gear. So we're going to have an extended delay here.
I'm watching Jose down there with the guys explain what happened, and he's telling Danny Espinosa that that ball kind of rose on him. And maybe he even lost it. The hand signals they're making is like that pitch took off on him and had another gear.
So Larry Vanover will put on his home plate umpiring gear. We'll take a break. 5-3 Phillies in the 9th. the visitors' dugout to put on his gear. Just a couple of footnotes on Brian Knight. He worked the division series last year. He's worked the All-Star game. He's worked a wild card game. An outstanding umpire. Been in the league full time since 2011.
I mean, this is serious. This is no joke. We hope he's okay.
He's been umpiring in the major leagues off and on since 2001. And it was 3 years ago that he was an ump on the crew in the 2012 All-Star game. 40 years of age, from Helena, Montana. And we just wish Brian all the best. And they might have to bring in another umpire to work third base tomorrow. We'll wait and see on that. Right now, they'll go with the three-man crew as Larry Vanover, the crew chief, will come from second base and take over behind the plate.
Let's go back to the fifth inning and show you the Bryce Harper home run one more time. It was actually middle away, and he pulled it. Watch where this one lands, folks. If you're just tuning in and you missed it earlier, big bomb off the bat of Bryce, and he checked it out for a second, and I think when you hit him that far, you should check him out. Hit speed 105 miles an hour.
So Bryce's second home run in this series. He's driven in 4 runs against the Phillies.
Our Washington, D.C. Lexus dealers are donating $250 to the Children's National Health System for every home run a Nats player hits this season. Keep them coming just like that, Bryce. Lexus, the pursuit of perfection.
Bryce Harper's 59th career home run. Blake Trinan playing catch with Jose Lobaton here. To reset the situation, the Phillies will have a runner at second with 2 outs. The speedy Odubel Herrera. The count's 1-0. Remaining umpires, Ron Culpa and Vic Carapazza. Their crew chief is Larry Vanover, who will take over behind the plate. I think in situations like this, it's the crew chief's decision who goes behind the plate, and Larry said, I'll do it myself. He had umpired the game here on Thursday night behind the plate. A look at tomorrow. Johnny and Ray with Nats Extra 1 o'clock will join you at 1:30. David Buchanan, 6-10 in the big leagues with a 4.27 ERA. He'll make his 23rd career start. He's off to a rough start this year. Opponents hitting .400 against him. He's 0-2 with an 11+ ERA. And time for Steven Strasburg, FP, to get that first win. He tried to battle in Boston the other day, but was not able to go deep into that ball game.
Yeah, I talked to him before batting practice yesterday. I was asking about his curveball. Remember, we were talking about on the broadcast how it wasn't that big 12-6 curveball, and he said it felt fine coming out of his hands, that it was normal, and he speculated that the camera angles in Boston, how high they were and off to the side, maybe skewed our view of the curveball, because it didn't look like it had a whole lot of break to it like we've seen in the past. But he liked the way it was coming out of his hand. His fastball was nice at 95, 96. Really hasn't had a feel for that changeup yet in the 2015 season, and I think that's his best pitch. So maybe tomorrow, a warm day, he'll have a better feel for that changeup. But when he's throwing that early in the count for a strike and bouncing it with 2, he's almost unhittable.
Well, everybody's attention focused on the runway, which is at the home plate end of the Phillies dugout. The umpire's room's only about 50 feet back from the field. Right there. Just make a left turn there. And then another left into the umpire's room. But it takes a while to get all the gear you need to be behind the plate. So with another item or two on the injury list, here's Dan.
Bob, as we wait for the umpire situation to get filled, here's an update on Craig Stammen. He's going to have surgery tomorrow to repair that torn muscle in his right arm. And we talked to Stammen yesterday. He's going about this with a very positive mindset. He says, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to prove that I can come back from this. He's not a woe is me type of guy. You talk to him during the course of a season after a bad outing. He's a very stand-up player and always seems to have a positive mindset on everything. And he's going to take that same mindset as he rehabs back from this surgery. It's going to be a long rehab process for him. He expects it to probably cost him the entire rest of the 2015 season and maybe a little longer. Although the Nats are going to have to wait and see. They're going to have to wait until doctors go in there and determine just the extent of the damage on Stammen. But he will have that surgery tomorrow, and as I said, will probably be out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I was talking about how he felt in the bullpen, and he said the other day in Philly, it's just a sharp pain in his forearm. And he said every time he threw a pitch in the bullpen, it was killing him. But he still told Steve McCatty that he was okay to go. And as Nats fans know, he's never going to say, I can't go. And we wish him the best, and we're going to miss him.
Yeah, Craig said in Boston that he had told the Nats, he pitched 4 out of 5 days. He had told them every day that he was available. And he said, if that's the cause of the injury, that's on me, not the ball club. And I talked to Craig at his locker this morning. He's just a real feet on the ground, level-headed guy. As Dan said, he's a very spiritual young man with a lot of faith. And he said, I can't think of a better day than Sunday to have my operation on. He said, I'm looking forward to getting it over with and getting started on the road back. And we wish Craig and his family very well.
His exact words were, bring it on. I'm going to enjoy this challenge.
So we await Larry Vanover's emergence from the umpire's room here in a moment to be able to continue the top of the ninth. In the bottom of the inning, the Nationals' number 9 spot will due up. Jonathan Papelbon will be on the mound for the Phillies. You figure he'll be on the mound whether they score another run or maybe even another run after that. Right now they lead by 2. So it'll be the number 9 spot, then Taylor and Desmond in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Yeah, Nats need a base runner to see. I'm sure Matt Williams wants a Bryce Harper, Jonathan Papelbon matchup.
Yeah, Jason Worth was in the on-deck circle when the bottom of the 8th ended with Jose Lobaton lining out hard to right field. Here comes Larry Vanover. Got to have the full gear on. And the crew chief who worked the plate Thursday night will take over here. Then we'll see veteran guys like Ron Kulpa and Vic Carapazza handle the bases. Ron Kulpa's in his 17th year. Vic Carapazza's in his 5th full year in the big leagues. So you'll see the 3-man crew help each other out and do some rotating here if necessary.
He wants to take a look at a few pitches from Blake Trinan. These guys are so pro. I mean, it's the same 4 guys. They traveled together for 6 months, and one of their guys just got smoked in the head. I mean, you know it's on their minds.
Our best to Brian Knight.
Absolutely.
Freddie Galvis with a count of 1-0. Odubel Herrera had just stolen second base on the previous pitch. And a ball slapped to the right side. Dan Uggla. We're going to the bottom of the 9th, but the Phillies just picked up a very big run. Trying to do it against Jonathan Papelbon.
Bryce Harper up there and give him a shot. Once again, the defense killed us. We walked a couple of batters. They scored, so those were gifts. And then we made an error. That runner scored, and then we didn't turn a double play, and that runner scored. So we really gave 4 runs up today via base on balls and not making the plays.
And we saw one of the longest home runs hit in this ballpark.
Oh, my
Bryce Harper over my right shoulder. That baby had to carry like 440, maybe 450.
Somewhere right there. It was a blast. It was only about a foot short of where I saw Mike Stanton hit one that I thought was the longest home run I've seen hit in this ballpark. But it's going to go down as one of the top 2 or 3 home runs distance-wise, I believe, that's ever been hit here.
Nats need a couple to tie, 3 to win this thing. Let's go back upstairs to Bob at FP for the bottom of the 9th.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Ray. 3 outs with which to work. 2-run deficit. Jonathan Papelbon.
Fastball averaging 91. He'll move it around, use the split late in the count. That's his out pitch. And he'll really lean on that split if he gets a runner or 2 in scoring position.
Facing Tyler Moore, 1 for 2 career against him. Did that hit the bat or no? Yes, it did. Strike 1. On a check swing.
Nats looking for a bloop and a bomb.
Tyler Moore, a good rip and maybe 2-3 feet foul of the bag.
But Wednesday, Tyler Moore checked in with his first base hit, and then after that, he checked in with his first home run. And folks, the wind was blowing. Look at the flag right there. It was blowing straight in from left. So against traffic, his first homer of the year.
Yeah, I talked to some Red Sox broadcasters after that game. They were very impressed with Timo's power on that one. On a pitch up and away, a high drive to right center. Herrera taking charge. He has really hurt the Nats in this series. 1 out. Not a rubber game, but a chance for 3 out of 4 tomorrow. Steven Strasburg and David Buchanan. A little later, Nats extra 1 o'clock. Here's Michael A. Taylor. Papelbon's slider slips by him.
They got a hanger right there. Seen a lot of off speed today. Cameron Rupp has been throwing Michael Taylor everything but fastballs.
Shows him one inside. Phillies scored the go-ahead run in the 7th. Aaron Harang's in line for this win.
Be interesting to see if the Nats get Denard Span back tomorrow.
Slider can't get it. 2 down. Papelbon trying to serve his 3rd game of the year and the 330th of his big league career.
Liam Desmond's average over 300 with 3 knocks today.
Desmond career 4 for 16 against the Phillies closer. Desmond, a high drive to left. Carrying, but Revere is there. And the Phillies win it. Frustrating day for the Nats. This would be one of those games you'll look back on with regret. Phillies 5, Nats 3, even though Washington out-hit them 9-7. For FP and Dan, Bob Carpenter, Phillies take game 3, but the Nats could take 3 out of 4 with a W tomorrow. 1 o'clock Nats Extra tomorrow. First pitch Strasburg at 1:35. This has been a Masson presentation. So long for just a while.